Undoubtedly, one of the greatest experiences I've had playing a video game was going through the story of The Last of Us. I've been playing games my whole life. I had an older brother that had the N64 and PS2, so a lot of my younger years were spent playing Smash Bros, Star Wars Battlefront, Mario Super Strikers, 007, and tons of other games. When I got a little older, I got a GameCube, then a Wii, then a PS3, PS4, you get the drift. Suffice to say, I have a scary amount of video games checked off my list, but none of them can come close to the experience of playing The Last of Us. The game is known for its gritty setting, very realistic dialogue, and intuitive gameplay. But I think a criminally underrated aspect of the game is the way it sounds, or in a sense, the lack thereof. With what seems to be an absolute hit of a show coming out on HBO, there's no better time to talk about this franchise. Hey everybody, you're watching Playing for Cats, a channel dedicated to helping animals in need get the help they need. If you love charitable causes, hit the like and subscribe button, then check out the links in my channel to see if you can financially assist the nonprofits helping these animals. The Last of Us came out in the age of the zombie. The Walking Dead, 28 Days Later, Left 4 Dead, and tons of other zombie-related media were filling every hot topic known to man. However, I think it's universally known that The Last of Us blows these out of the water. It is consistently regarded as one of the greatest games of all time. It's so popular that the original game got a prequel, then a sequel, then a remaster, then that remaster got a remake in the span of a decade. Of course, with the show releasing at the time of this video, it's yet to be seen how well it will be received. Currently, it's the highest rated show of all time on IMDb, which is a bit overkill considering there's only one episode out. Speaking of the show, the intro song should sound very familiar. It's the same song that was used as the theme song for the original game. It's also the first song the team behind the game heard from this composer, being very impressed with his work. This song has become iconic for its sparing use of any instruments besides some basic strings. Primarily, it focuses on an acoustic guitar playing melancholy arpeggios. Just like the world the characters are living in, the sounds are sparse, scattered, and lonely. The sense of hollowness and loneliness in the composition perfectly encapsulates the lack of life in the devastated world. The somber movement of the melody isn't sappy or overdone like a pop song, but it's simple and moving. The triplet pattern of the melody provides a sense of hurry without a place to call home. Just like the characters, there is only constant movement. Any stagnation could lead to the end of their lives. The emphasis on the isolated guitar melodies and the similar strums on the downbeat remind me a lot of Western movies. These movies focus on characters that are usually cold to the world, lacking comfort, focusing on survival, and never settling down. Joel, the main character of the first game, fits this description to a T. After the loss of his daughter 20 years prior to the plot, he lost all sense of humanity. In that time skip, he's done unspeakable things in the name of self-preservation. He's known for his inability to stay within the confines of the law, just like your typical vigilante Western protagonist. Not only are Joel and the similar heroes of these movies isolated from the world, but the world has turned its back on them. Whether it's the lonely, unsettled desert of the Wild West, or the fallen cities of a zombie apocalypse, sounds are few and far between. If you hear footsteps that aren't yours in a lawless and unforgiving world, you're bound for trouble. Another aspect of what makes The Last of Us sound so unnerving is the lack of percussion. Percussion's primary use of keeping tempo gives the listener a sense of peace, knowing the song and its message will keep moving along. It gives a dance track a sense of a beat, allowing the audience to follow along and move their bodies to the rhythm. It gives musicians a place to call home if they ever lose their way in the middle of a performance. But just like the environment for Ellie and Joel, there is no sense of rhythm, home, or even time. Since the downfall of modern society, there was no need to keep track of time. So without structure, events happen at random. There is no backbone or spine to keep a sense of order. In the music, the strings embody the environment, barren, cold, and without reason. Just like Joel's broken watch, a lack of time means a lack of what makes us human. Dissonance, whether in music or life, is the key to uneasiness. A tritone or a half-step interval should make the hairs on your arms stand up. The Last of Us uses these uncomfortable harmonies perfectly. While the melody might seem slightly melancholy, the instruments in the background are whining for some resolution. Like steel guitars in old country music, these instruments are constantly sliding in and out of the listener's ears, giving off a sort of cry. Not only are the characters at their emotional breaking points, but the music is crying out for peace from this unforgiving environment. Whether it's a conversation between a damaged man and a lost girl, or a fight for your very survival, or when characters lay their uneasy heads down at night, the sounds of The Last of Us never give us a break. There is always uneasiness, tension, and a lack of purpose. Perhaps that is the sign of the human condition. Without a sense of a structure, our anxieties and selfishness will get the best of us. Music was designed to make you think about your environment, whether it's in a positive or negative light. Music can either be an escape or a realization, but for the characters of The Last of Us, it's a cold and unrelenting reminder of their unending desperation. It's not epic, massive, or sweeping like a Lord of the Rings or Star Wars soundtrack. The sounds are raw and industrial, without polish and without warmth. Fun fact, the composer has very little knowledge of how to read and write sheet music. Most of the music was a simple trial and error of what works and what doesn't. So what do you think? Do you believe The Last of Us has a killer, no pun intended, soundtrack? Do you think there are other games out there that deserve this kind of recognition? Let me know in the comments, and take care.